let's talk kingdom. He's the one you can lean on. He don't change, he stays the same. Won't find a better reason, no. So come tap in, just listen. And bring a friend, let's spread this vision.
And shalom alaikum to each and every one of you. So glad to have you with us today. We're glad that we're in this space with you, hoping that you are in a condition to receive today, as I am on location, unfortunately, and I'm hoping and praying that you are able to hear us okay without an echo. Can you hear us okay? Good. Good to hear. All right. So today may be a little bit difficult because technology, of course, never wants us to be great, but we will work it through as we can do our very best. So let's get into the teaching on today. Take a word of prayer. Father, we thank you for the word, will, and plan. We thank you for your purpose and your spirit for us. We ask you to be with us, in us, through us, and toward us for your name's sake and for your praise. There is none like you in all the earth. We exalt your name because of who you are and because of why you are. Now we ask you in this space and in this place to grace us with your wisdom, your spirit, your understanding, your joy, and your peace. In the mighty and the precious name of Yeshua HaMashiach, we say, Amen. All right, everybody, again, you know what time it is. We're here for the Bible study as our Sabbath Midrash studies. Which is Sabbath Friday at sundown till Saturday at sundown, and we're just about in that time and space. I have been doing a great deal of traveling, but we are in a location where our time has been set to Elohim's time, and we are ready to do what is necessary in this space and in this place. Shalom to each and every one of you all over the globe, and I pray that you are able and ready to get into this particular study for today. Well, one thing about this is that we have a time to be in his study and in his time. If you're with us on YouTube or Facebook, we're going to ask you to go ahead and hit the heart sign. Or if you're on YouTube, to subscribe to the page. If you are on Facebook, to make it your business, please, if you don't mind, to simply make a comment, use a few keystrokes, and we'll go from there. So I'm asking you to make sure that that's a possibility for you all to get that done. It would do us a great favor, a great deal of work, and a great deal of success on our behalf. So today we're going to talk about what it means to, in the time of Shabbat. I had the joy and pleasure of laying my sister to rest on yesterday. There's no joy like knowing your loved one actually is saved. And no matter what has gone on in life, they found right before the end of their life the joy of his salvation. There's nothing as a minister that does me better than to know I don't have to preach someone into heaven who is not. Go in there. So, I've seen worse, but it's been a joy laying my sister to rest and having her, as we say, sleep in peace. But sleeping in peace, she is not. She is resting in the arms of our Father, as that has been the case. So thank you all for your prayers and your support through those days. And yesterday, prior to Sabbath, we were able to rest her, well, her remains, where they go. You might think that's like sort of kind of blunt and just so, raw, but it's what it is. Clubhouse, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. There is an echo. There's an echo.
Well, we may have to deal with the echo. I'll find a way to try and figure it out best I can. Don't know if I can. Let me see if this can help. Problem. And here we are. Let me try one more mechanism. Testing 1 2. Can you all hear me without feedback?
Say it again, sir.
Can you all hear me without feedback on Facebook and YouTube? Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Testing.
There is no YouTube, but we can hear you.
I don't understand that. There is no YouTube.
No. There's no echo.
All right.
We can hear.
No echo on YouTube, and you can hear me. Facebook, you have an echo?
Facebook does not have an echo either.
You can hear me clear, though?
Yes, I can hear you clearly on Facebook.
Beautiful. See what Yahweh will do? He'll fix it, won't he, every time?
I think the echo is just Clubhouse, so we're fine. We'll deal with it.
Thank you. Yeah, Clubhouse, y'all always giving problems, so may the Lord be with you while we absent one from... It was funny. I just had to take the chance. Okay, moving on. It's like, that's not funny, Mr. Apostle Man. Well, again, we are here to go with it. I'm going to do one more test before we get going. I want to make sure you guys are able to do this. Tell me if you can hear me now on Facebook and YouTube. Ready? Testing 1 2 3 1 2 3. Can you hear me on Facebook? Can you hear me on YouTube clearly?
On YouTube, yes, we can hear you.
All right. And Facebook?
Facebook, yes.
Awesome. So we don't need all the problems and the drama that go with that. So we'll be there. Let's get moving from this area. Thank you, Danielle Hawkins. Thank you, Elder Walker. Thank you, Elder Rogers. All right. Clubhouse. Well, there you go. So listen, let's get into this today. We were talking last week. I don't know if Pastor Spencer's with us or not, but we were dealing with a element in the book of, I believe it was Genesis. And I'm going to ask Pastor Spencer to bring that back up to her when she gets an opportunity. So, hi Joyce, good to see you today. Shalom Aleichem, Shabbat Shalom. Kathy Hunter, Shabbat Shalom to you as well. Let's do what we typically do and get into the teaching today from the respect of Genesis chapter 2 and what it means, as it were, to be how to Sabbath. Let's look at what it means on how to Sabbath. So let's get to Genesis chapter number 2, verse 1 through 3. And we'll let Yahweh have his way with that. How about we do that? Let's get going on that piece. Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. Everybody join in with me. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, all the host of them. And on the seventh day, Elohim ended his work which he had made. And he rested on the seventh day from all of his work which he had made. And Elohim caused or blessed the seventh day, and he sanctified it, because in it he had rested from all of his work which Elohim created and made. So the thing we know here is that Elohim has made the seventh day specifically for humanity. So he made in creation, Genesis chapter 1, he has made for 6 days. And all 6 days are very clearly laid out for us if we pay attention to what he did. So let's just skim through Genesis chapter 1 so we understand what the 6 days look like. All right. So Genesis 1, not chapter 2, but Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Verse number 3. And Elohim said, let there be light. There was light. Verse 5, Elohim called the light day and darkness night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. Let's go down to verse number 6. Elohim said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. Let it divide the waters from the waters. Verse number 8. Elohim called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. Somebody say day 2.
Day 2.
And Elohim said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. Verse number 10, and Elohim called the dry land earth. He called the gathering together of the waters, he called the seas. And Elohim saw that it was good. And he saw that it was good. And that would be day number 3. Verse 11 goes on to say, and Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass, and herb yielding seed, and the fruit yielding tree, after his kind, whose seed is in it. Whose seed is in it. After its kind. And it was good. Verse 13, and the evening and the morning were the third day. Verse 14 goes on to say, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven, and divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years, and let them be for the lights in the firmament. Verse number 19, and the evening and the morning were day 4. Somebody say we got 4 days here.
Got 4 days. Yeah, 4 days.
All right, look at verse number 20 now. Let's be clear on this. Verse number 20 says, and Elohim said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that has life, the fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And Elohim then created the great whales, every living thing that creeps, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. Elohim saw that it was good. Verse number 23, the evening and the morning were the 5th day, day 5. Verse number 24, Elohim then said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and the beast of the earth after its kind. And so it was. Verse number 25, Elohim made the beasts of the earth, cattle, and everything that creeps upon the earth after its kind. Last sentence of verse 25 says, and Elohim saw that it was good. This is day 6. Then he says in verse 26, let us now make man in our image, in our likeness. Let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, over all the creeping things that creep upon the face of the earth. So let's go back to verse 25. 24. So let's go back to 23. The evening and the morning were day 5. Somebody say it with me, day 5.
Day 5.
Verse 24 now goes on to say, Elohim said that the earth bring forth the living creatures, and the creeping things, and the beasts of the earth after its kind. Verse 25 says, get your fingers to your mics, you're going to speak with me. Verse 25 says, and Elohim then made the beasts of the earth, the cattle, the creeping things. Verse 25, last sentence says, Elohim saw that it was good. Somebody say day 6.
Day 6.
So in day 6, he has made the kind, the cattle, the living creatures, everything, the beasts of the earth, all the creeping things, all the cattle, he made them. And it's inside of day 6. Inside of day 6. Verse 26 says, Elohim then said, before he concluded day 6, he said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over everything we made so far. So he said, let them have dominion over the fish of the sea. They made the fish of the sea in day 5. Let them have dominion over the fowl of the air. They made the fowl of the air in day 5. Let them have everything over the cattle and over all the earth. They made the cattle in day 5, day 6 rather, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So what he made in the dirt, he made on day 6. The creeping things in the dirt, he made on day 6. So let's reread verse 26. Elohim said, let us make man in our image and our likeness in the middle of day 6. Let them have dominion over what I did in day 5, the fish and the fowl. And then what I did in day 6, give them dominion over that. Say this with me. Elohim made man after he created days 1 through 5. All right. And I made the mistake of telling y'all day 5. I should have said day 6 because he makes man at the end of day 6. Then he says, verse 27, so Elohim created him in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him, both male and female created he them. So in that day, humanity was made into a human form. Humanity was made male and female. So the masculinity and the femininity were all in one entity. Now, this does not give any credence to the gender confused issue of society today or the alternative lifestyle today. This does not mean that a male was trapped in a female body or a female was trapped in a male's body. Typically, the first human was both masculine and feminine, asexual. Then we know historically from the writ being our history record that Elohim did in fact extract the womb man. Now, the womb man, as you and I both know, is the man that was in the womb, which would be the male, the female factor. So the masculine factor was the external. The masculine factor was the brawn. The masculine factor was all the external. The internal, as it were, womb area was the female factor. So when Elohim made humanity, he made humanity male and female. That's why in chapter 2, you'll find as well, he put man, the human, to sleep, extracted the womb man, and gave the womb man its own pulchritude. From the same pulchritude, it had created humanity from. Just so we're clear on that. All right. Now let's get back to the writ here. In verse number 27. So Elohim created man in day 6. He made him in the image of Elohim. Verse 28 says, Elohim then blessed humanity and said unto humanity, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, have dominion over what I gave you dominion of, the stuff I made before you got here. Have dominion over it. Let me pause so some of y'all don't get twisted. Have dominion over everything I already made. I made the fish in day 5. I made the fowl in day 5. I made the creeping things and the cattle and the beasts of the earth in the beginning of day 6. I'm making you human in the end of day 6. So everything made before you, as I spell out, you have dominion over, you have use of. The stars in the sky for signs, the lights for seasons, the firmament to breathe, the earth to reproduce within, the seas to swim in, and you have the fish and you have the fowl to oversee, and everything else that's on the Adoma of the Eretz. The Eretz is the third rock from the sun. The Adoma is the red ruddy part that we call dirt that we are made from. We are Adoma. We are Adom. So when you understand this, you better understand what day 7 was made for. I want you all to say day 7 was made for me. So when you understand this from the biblical record, many people may take a different scientific approach to this, but our faith deals with this in this regard, and you all have the right to your faith. Our faith of he who hung on the cross gives us this record of creation. We do not believe in the Big Bang. We do not believe in the amoeba evolving into what you and I have. If in fact there was a Big Bang, who detonated the bang. If there was an amoeba, who created the amoeba? Get it? So the God of our creation, the God of Avraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, makes not just sense to have a better conversation, but it makes better sense for me to know I have salvation. Otherwise, I'm just out here subject to the universe. Well, the God of the universe, Elohim, Israel, El Elyon, El Eloy, Israel. That is the God of the universe. And so the universe has to be created. No, it doesn't, it just exists. Okay, what in your world just exists that you would pass on to your children? So if I created a trust fund, I created it. If I created an insurance policy, I created it. All right. If I created a well of wealth, I created it and gave it to my children to live in. A house, my children live in it. An uptown New York apartment, I created it to live in. That's where my children come. But there is someone who has set precedent and foundation for that existence. So we can't just say there was a bang in the universe and this unique entity of humanity and ox and sheep and goats and octopus and clams just evolved. Is it a possibility? With a lot of the science we've seen done, you could say certain things could happen, but all of them and all the scientists ultimately come back to say that there was a creator regarding creation. You can't have a creation without a creator. And so therein lies this record of Genesis, and the Hebrew Genesis means Bereshit. Bereshit means the book of beginnings. And so this is the book of beginnings. So how do you Sabbath? Day 6, Elohim made man. In verse number 27, Elohim created man in his own image. Verse 28, he blessed man, told man to be fruitful and multiply, and to replenish the earth. Look at this closely. Verse number 28 says to have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over every living thing that creeps upon the earth. Verse 29, and Elohim said, behold, I have given you, human, every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth, every tree in which the fruit of the tree will yield seed. I've given it to you to be meat for you. Verse 30, and to every beast of the earth, and specifically to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creeps upon the earth, wherein there is life, Mr. Human, I have given every green herb as meat. And so it was. Now, let's talk about this word meat. This is the Hebrew word, meat, H402. It is called oklah. It means for food, to consume, to devour, to eat. Now, it comes from the word feminine 401, which is in your oklah, which apparently means to be devoured, a fancy name for uka. Okay, now let's get back into this passage so we can have some real good strength. So verse number 29, Elohim said, I've given you the herb-bearing seed, trees yielding seed. Verse 30, every beast of the earth, every fowl of the air, every creeping thing whereon there is life, I have given every green herb for oklah. And Elohim saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. Some might say, I was made very good.
I was made very good. I was made very good.
Say, humanity was made on day 6.
Humanity was made on day 6.
Thank you. So The fact that I was made very good and humanity was made on day 6, it makes Genesis chapter 2 a lot easier to conceive. So verse 31 again, Genesis 1, Bereshit 1:31. Elohim saw that everything he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were day 6. Now let's look at Genesis chapter 2. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished. So the heavens and the earth were not done in 7 days. Some of y'all just now hit that. Some of y'all that just now hit. I know you've heard the 7 days of creation. It's not. It's 6. There are 6 days of creation. Day 7 was then made for the man, who was given in day 6 dominion over all that was created based on the edict of the Creator. So man does not have the right. Man does not have the right. Man does not have the right by Elohim's edict of what man is supposed to be doing. Man was made to till the ground. Man was made to take care of Eretz, not to go to Mars, not to go to Jupiter, not to go to Orion, not to go to the moon. You're made for the Eretz. That does not limit you. That just keeps you from doing in Christendom, as we always do, 1, 2, 3. Way too much. So humanity, with pressure and with gravity, is designed to be on the Eretz, on the ruddy Adoma of the Eretz. Man is not designed to be in a submarine 7 leagues beneath the sea. You notice everybody who tries to live down there or go down there, I don't care if it's Jacques Cousteau, I don't care if it's the next submarine, I am not being insensitive, but man has dominion freely to live sweatlessly on the top, on the Adoma of the Eretz. It ain't our job to be down there in that deep sea. We got dominion over the fish. The fish hang up top. We can cast a net, throw a line, reel it in. That's the fish. We don't go down there and fight with the octopus. It ain't our job down there with Jaws. It's not our job to be down there with Orca. It's not our job to be down there with the big clams and the mussels and the scrimpuses and the lobsters, or SpongeBob SquarePants or Squidward. That's not our job. Let them have their domain. They have a whole separate blessing plan. Now, Elohim did say from day 5, I'm going to give you the fish. From day 5, he made the fowl that fly, every winged fowl of the air. Day 5, from the waters, he made eagles, osprey, hawks, ravens, chicken, turkey, anything with a winged fowl came from day 5. Elohim then said to the birds, you're going to go live in the earth, in the Adoma. You're going to go live in the trees on the earth. Don't go back to the water. You can hunt there, but you live now in the Adoma. Then he tells the fish, the human from the Adoma is going to come eat you. So that's why there's so much of you. And so we have dominion over the fish and over the fowl, not over Jaws, not over whatever, the whales. We don't have dominion over that. So it ain't our job to be down there 8 miles beneath the ocean surface trying to figure out what's down there. If the Loch Ness Monster is down there, leave him be. He ain't bothering you. He ain't bothering me. He knows his position. He ain't came up all these years. Let that thing be. You enjoy some good red snapper, some yellowtail snapper, enjoy it. Some flounder, I promise you it's okay. Just enjoy it. You have dominion over that. All right. It is not our job to be up in space trying to find Thanos or trying to find galaxies beyond our reach. It's okay to be curious. It is not our job as humans to occupy it, because now you have to artificially create sustainability. That's why he said in day 6, all of this I give you, human, to live and to exist. Now, on day 7, he makes the day for humanity to understand its existence and its purpose in days 1 through 7. That's why the Shabbat, the Sabbath, is so important. But we've made it non-important. We actually, in this doctrine of 7 days of creation, the error of that statement alone is humongous, because it sets a narrative that's inaccurate. He didn't create in 7 days. He created in, but he did not create on 7 days. He created everything in 6 days. And then on the 7th day, he made man to be aware of everything he created on days 1 through 6. The firmament. Yeah, you want to deal with the stratosphere and the atmosphere, the moon and the sun, that's fine. Because he did put 2 big lights in the sky, something we should know about. He put the stars in the sky, something we should know about. So you want to talk about the Milky Way, that's even cool too. But particularly, he gave you the 3rd rock from the sun to occupy his way, not yours. He didn't ask for humanity. He did not give us gills. He did not give us extra oxygen tanks to go up into space that could become defaulting when a battery goes wrong. Or he did not give us an air tank on the external to go down into the depths of the sea where pressure can literally kill you. That ain't your job. Your job is not to try and be the Jetsons. I love the show, but you can't be the Jetsons up there. You can make it your effort, but gravity and lack of air, all of that requires a forced artificial intelligence of an existing potential in science. But if we have to make it work, then it's not designed for us to sustain us forever, because you're going to run out of whatever's making it work. The only thing you don't have to run out of is something you don't make work: oxygen. We ain't got to force it into a tank, try to pressurize it into a certain way so we can consume it when we get into atmospheres that don't have it. So he gave us dominion over everything he made up until day 6. Then on day 7, he made that day for the human to come into him and learn about everything, days 1 through 6. We have yet to scratch the surface on everything made in days 1 through 6. And yet we keep trying to go about learning it without sitting with him. I love Solomon when I talk about the Torah here. Solomon tells you about the ants. He says, just look at the ants. Just see how they build. Look at how they work and how this group builds, this group protects, this group digs, this group mates. Look at how they build. Look at how they operate. Then they learned about the termites. They learned about the hornets. They learned about the bees. They learned about the honeybee. Look at how they operate. We have yet to scratch the surface on the dynamic of all of this. We've been able to profit from eating the honey from the honeybee, but not realizing that if we overconsume that, then we do away with the baby honey's, the baby bee's food and everything that goes along with that. So when he made day 7, he made day 7 to give the human that he gave dominion over the earth. He made it so we could sit with him and he could explain to us all that this is supposed to do and mean for us. And we took it and we went and we got some knowledge of good and evil and think we know everything. And now here we are. We've ruined the earth. We've literally ruined the earth. Let me say it again. We have ruined the earth trying to do our own thing, creating what's in the deodorant spray? What's that called? Antiperspirant. What's not the antiperspirant? The aerosol. Thank you. We found out there's a way to get pressure to do something with the aerosols, and there are other things that we created that have destroyed the sustainability of our planet. I think we messed up. I think our knowledge of good and evil, beyond sitting on the 7th day with he who is total wisdom, has backfired on us. And I think evil knew that. Evil got that into the hands of man. Man became insatiate, and it's an insatiable desire for man to know what he doesn't know and think that he can be like God and all of this, and just wanting to be more than he was designed to be. But in what he was designed to be, he couldn't be more. And yet he couldn't be more satisfied. We just got to be doing our own thing. No, this is not some mentality that says you can't be God. This is not a mentality that says you are taking a lesser role in life. No, do what you were made for. We say in a beautiful metaphor, we say, stay in your lane. Travel the way you were designed to travel. Live the way you were designed to live. Do what you were designed to do. If you do that, you'll have fulfillment in life. If you do that, you will not have the stress of life. If you do that, you will not have the drama of life. I didn't say you wouldn't have some difficulties, but you wouldn't have drama. There's a difference in difficulty and drama. I got drama in my life because people think they know you, they think they own you, they think they can tell you what you can and can't do because they judge you based on their knowledge of what good and what evil you may have done in your life. See, sometimes the knowledge of good and evil is just that, just knowledge, but you don't know how to apply that knowledge to where you become wise. So if people just think that they know you, and they know what good you've done, and they know what evil you've done, and some people think that they can actually use that to lord over you and to hold you here and make you do this and satisfy their need to be in control. You got to make it your business to not be duped like Adam was duped into succumbing to someone else's knowledge of good and evil of you. I'm telling y'all what I know, not what I heard. And that's how the first human made his mistake. It's an interesting thing because, a lot of people, they think they know you. Truth is, you don't know anybody. No matter who you are, no matter what you are, you only know what people let you know, people let you see. It's good to have a relationship. It's good to be in a fellowship. It's always an ever-learning job to get to know them that dwell among you, but never think you know those people to the point where you can predict in total certainty what they will and will not do, what they are and are not capable of, because until you've been put to death test, you don't know what a person will do. Until you've been put in a situation, you don't know what type of sin a person will feel is worth the risk if they think they're going to survive in doing something that has been previously stated as wrong. But I got to do this right now in order to live in this moment. It may be wrong. I know it might be wrong. You never know what someone will do. You don't know. You think you do. And that's why you have to, as a human, as a believer, particularly as a Christian, we are terrible for judging people, thinking we know what they are and what they are not, and then canceling them or lifting them up or doing this or doing that. You don't know. Look, somebody say, homie, when you see me in the streets, you don't know me. When you see me in
the streets, you don't know me.
You don't know me. Don't act like you know me. If anything you know about me, let it be my love for the Father. Paul made a very clear statement. I desire to know nothing about you, Mr. or Mrs. Flesh Poker 2, child of Adam. I don't want to know nothing about you except for Yeshua HaMashiach and him crucified, except for the word of God in you and your desire to honor it. Me, myself, knowing, though I am a propagator of the gospel, I also know that I could not keep that word myself, though I'm telling the world to keep that word. So I don't want to know about your issues and your struggles with the word. I do only care that when we talk, all we talk is about the word. Forget whether you've kept it. Forget whether you've done good by it. Forget whether you've done bad by it. I just want to know how much of the word you know. Let me tell you right now, to kill gossip, to kill judgment, is a very simple process. If we would converse about the word, we'd never have gossip. Do y'all got that?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
If you only talk the word when you know your brother, I don't want to know nothing about your drama, nothing about your ex, nothing about your present spouse, nothing about your children's drama and issue in prison. If I can't pray with you that you need an attorney, pray with you that you need a doctor, pray with you that you need healing, I don't want to know anything about you except for your love for the Father. Because in that love for the Father, I know you're going to get in his presence. My job would be to encourage you to get in his presence, take your issue to him in prayer, and let him and his word that we both study together bring you to a place of precedent for deliverance, precedent for bringing you out, precedent for elevating you, precedent for healing you. What does the word say? I don't want to know nothing about you except the word you got. And if your word came from CNE, get the hell you bring out of my life. If your word is only what you know about Miss ABC sitting on the stoop at the end of your block, always in everybody's business, take that word and get all that hell it brings out of my life. I don't want to know nothing about you except what the word of God says and what you know about it. And if you don't have a sustainable amount of the word for the issue you're going through, my job will be to help you gain more about the word to get you through your circumstance. But I don't want you to tell me your circumstance.
Amen.
All I want to do is talk the word with you. If I'm talking the word of Elohim with you, there is no room for gossip. I don't know how to make that a t-shirt. I don't know how to make that a meme, but I promise you we're going to try it. I don't know how to make it a reel, but we're going to do it. I don't want to know nothing about you no more. I don't want to know about your acne. I don't want to know nothing about you except for your knowledge of the word. If we are talking the word of Elohim, then there will never be room for gossip. So,
Facts.
the knowledge of good and evil was a terrible thing in Adam's day, and it set precedent for our waywardness today. Now we have a fetish for the good will praise a man, and we have a fetish for the evil will loathe a man based on what we know of their good and their evil. So the knowledge of good and evil is never what Elohim wanted you and I to have, unless we were first laden down with his word. Now, if you got a base of his word in your soul, when you get knowledge of good or you get knowledge of evil about another person in your life, about a situation in your life, you'll know how to bring it into proper regulation to make it not now a mess, but a message, not now a trip, but a journey through life, sustaining other life. You will not be a murderer, you will be a life giver.
That's good.
This is what day 7 helps us to propagate. Do y'all understand that?
Yes, sir. That's good teaching. Keep teaching.
So when you see your brother who is overtaken in a fault, just ask him, hey, what you know about the word? Yeah, man, I messed up. Yeah, sis, I messed up. Yeah, bro, I messed up. The word says this, so what you gonna do? First off, let me repent. Great, that's another part of the word you need to know. You under the blood? Yeah, I did. Did you repent for your sin? Yeah, I did. Are you right with the Father? Yeah, I am. Okay, well, if we'd have been in a study, let me avail myself to you so when you're thinking faulty, we can get in his word, and that'll keep you from going off the cliff. You're going to do it if you want to do it, but at least you have the word in you. I don't know nothing about you, but him and him crucified. I hope this makes sense. So if we continue to sit in Sabbath and learn his word, well, what's that bring us to? Well, you guys know I love to talk about this because it's just what Elohim would for you to know. Watch closely. The second passage that you need to come to is Exodus chapter 16, but I want to go to Isaiah 58. Look down there. The 5th bullet on this particular screen. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, you'll see the chart we placed up there. That 5th item is Isaiah chapter number 58. Why is Isaiah 58 so important to Sabbath keeping? Why is it so important to this day? Well, it's because what goes on in Isaiah chapter 58, verse number 13, is very supportive, very important. Look down at this because it's extremely important. Isaiah chapter 58, go now down to verse number 13. Verse 13, look at this. If you turn your foot from Sabbath, from doing your pleasure on my holy day, and if you will call Sabbath a delight, if you will call the Sabbath holy of Elohim, if you will call the Sabbath honorable, and if you will honor Elohim by not doing your own ways, nor finding your own pleasures, nor speaking your own words, then you will be found delighting yourself in Yahweh. And Yahweh says this, verse 14, I will cause you to ride upon the high places of the earth. He says this himself, I will feed you with the heritage of Jacob, your father. For the mouth of Yahweh, Sabbath, has spoken it. Now, prayerfully, we have a better concept of the fact that you need to know what Elohim's word says about any situation you're in order for you to be victorious or sustained properly in your life. You don't have life abundant without an understanding and an actual practice of day 7. Look again at what we mean. He tells you in verse number 13. I love this. Look at verse 13. It says, if you will turn away your foot from Sabbath, meaning not 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 you turn away from Sabbath, but in Sabbath, by the time you get to Sabbath, 6 days, you've been doing what you want to do. You've been working because you got to work for 6 days. But he says, so you're in a routine, days 1 through 6, of turning your foot to go do whatever you feel you need to get done. But in day 7, don't turn your foot to your work like you do days 1 through 6. Don't turn your foot to do your own pleasure, to find your own words, to get your own entertainment. In Sabbath, just turn your foot to me. Don't turn your foot to the command of working 6 days. Turn your foot and your body to the command of resting on the 7th day. Don't come thinking. Don't tell me what you need. I already know what you need. What I need you to do, Yahweh says, is to come and sit with me, because I know what you got need of. See, you can't really read Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all of his righteousness, and then all these things the Gentiles seek for shall be added unto you. See, you can't say Matthew 6:33 until you understand Genesis 1:3. He gave you the 7th day so he could help you understand what you do in 6 days. And in that, everything you need in those 6 days will be given to you. Watch. Deuteronomy 28. If you hearken diligently unto the word of Elohim, the voice of the Lord, to observe in the Sabbath day what his word says to do. Observe it. Pay attention to it. Read it. And then to do it. Once you've read it, once you've absorbed it, once you observed it, now you obey it to do it. Then all these blessings shall follow you. All these blessings shall overtake you. Now there is nothing you have need of to accomplish the charge you've eaten in Sabbath that won't be provided in days 1 through 6. But if you're going through days 1 through 6 with your own ideas, with your own aspirations, trying to be like Mike, trying to be like Michelle, trying to be like whoever you deem a demigod, then the blessings of the God of creation can't find you, because you're searching after another who is not the creator of you. Let's get back into this. Look now, Isaiah. Very interesting stuff. Isaiah 58, verse 13. If you turn your foot away from Sabbath, from doing your pleasure on my holy day, and if you will call the Sabbath a delight. Can somebody say, I delight in Sabbath? If you call the Sabbath a delight, that word delight in the Hebrew is the word oneg. If you deem that day oneg, meaning pleasant, meaning luxurious, if you find this day your spa, that's the Hebrew word for 86026, which is associated with the word onog, which means to be soft, to be pliable, to be luxurious, to be delicate, to have a delight, to delight oneself, to sport oneself within. It is a day of absolute pleasure, absolute luxuriation. So in verse 13, if you turn away your foot from Sabbath, from doing your pleasure on my holy day, and if you will call the Sabbath a neg, if you will call the Sabbath Kodesh, holy of Yahweh, if you will call the Sabbath day honorable, that word honorable is the word kabod in the Hebrew. So that word is H3513. That's the word kabod. It means, in fact, if you will deem this day to be heavy, in a bad sense, it could be burdensome. But the real good thing is that when it's heavy, it can be heavy in the sense that you're weighted down with good. In a bad sense, it means you're burdened, right? Or in a good sense, it means you have numerous riches. Honorable, to make you weighty, to make you abound with more. In a bad way, it can mean to make you grievously afflicted. But in a good way, it means to boast and be chargeable, to be glorious, to make glorious, to be very, very great, to be heavy, to make you heavy. In honor, self-honor, to be honorable, to laden you down, make sufficient, make you noble, cause you to prevail, to promote you to honor, to give you riches, to make you to go. So if you will deem the Sabbath, verse 13, if you will call the Sabbath a delight, oneg, call the Sabbath holy of Yahweh, Kodesh, if you will call the Sabbath kabod, honorable, and will honor him by not finding your own ways, finding your own pleasures, nor speaking your own words, then shall you delight in Yahweh. And I, Yahweh, will cause you to ride upon the high places of the earth. I will feed you with the heritage of Jacob. Thus saith Yahweh Sabbath. I believe, honestly, that our knowledge of good and evil has grossly affected our desire to seek his wisdom, understand his wisdom as to how to operate in a commandment he gave us. 6 days shall a man work, but on day 7 you are to rest. That word rest is the word you see, Sabbath. Some even associated with Shabbat. It is the 7th day of rest. In a 7-day week, 6 days were created for you to work. A 7th day was created for the worker to rest. I want to make that a quote. I like the way that came off my tongue. In a 6-day work week, 6 days were created for work. But the 7th day was created for the worker to rest, be restored, be refreshed, be renewed, be re-instructed, be reset, be re-luxuriated. This is all important because many of us are saying, I can't seem to make ends meet, because you don't sit down where the ends come from. You're never going to get the ends to meet if you don't sit down with the maker of the ends. I can't seem to get a bearing because you're not standing on the rock that is higher than you. The foundation is him. If you don't kabod, Shabbat, if you don't oneg, Shabbat, if you don't kodesh, Shabbat, if you don't Baruch, Hashem, Adonai, the word Baruch means to bow down for him. Let's go to Genesis, back to Genesis. We're still talking about the same passages on how to Sabbath. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 2, verse number 1. I want you to join me there. This is important stuff. Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 2. Let's look at this. This is important. Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 2. It says, thus the heavens and the earth were finished. And the seventh day, Elohim ended his work. Do y'all see that? He stopped working. But day 7, he made. He didn't create, he made. And then he rested on the 7th day from all of his work. Verse 3. And then Elohim, I love this part, he baruched. Now look at that word baruched. In the Hebrew, look at your screen. I'll put it on the screen for you to see it. This is your Strong's Concordance. In the Hebrew, that word is H1288. It is the word barak. Okay? That's why we baruch Hashem Adonai. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. We baruch him. Watch. This is what you do when you baruch Elohim, when you bless Elohim, when Elohim blesses you. The primitive root for the word baruch means to kneel down. Its implication is to bless your God as an act of adoration. So in the Sabbath day, when you come to him, to kneel down to him, to give him an act of adoration, if you do that, then Elohim kneels down to the man that kneeled down to him to benefit that man. Some of y'all was this day old when you just read that. I'm going to say it again. When you bless Elohim, it's an if-then concept. When you baruch Elohim, you are kneeling down to him to give adoration, to give homage. And when you do that, that triggers him, your if you do, then he'll do. He then kneels down to you to benefit you. Read it again so you can understand it. This is why I want you, when you read your Bible, make sure you have your concordance. These are just the definitions for the languages used to create the actual content of your Bible so you could read it in context. So look at what he says again. Just look at it. Look at this. Elohim blessed the 7th day. That word blessed is the word barak. That word barak, if you look at it closely, is the word H1288. It means to kneel down. By implication, for man to bless, meaning kneel down to Elohim as an act of adoration, and vice versa, Elohim will kneel down to man as a benefit to man. And that benefit will be abundant. It'll be all together. It'll be great. It'll be of your praise. It'll be of salute. When we kneel down to him, will be to salute him, to praise him, to give him thanks. So when you understand what Baruch means, you now can come into Sabbath and say, first off, Yahweh, Baruch Hashem Elohim, Baruch Hashem Adonai, Baruch Hashem Yahweh, Baruch Hashem Ruach HaKodesh. Once you've done that by coming into the Sabbath, turning your foot to resting in the Sabbath, then you say, once you come in, I deem this Sabbath day oneg. I deem and call this Sabbath day kabod. I deem and call this Sabbath day Kodesh. Elohim says, really? Then I'm going to put all of that on you. I'm going to honor you. I'm going to oneg you. I'm going to kabod you. I'm going to make you Kodesh. You know, a holy nation, a peculiar people. See, we've not been taught this in our system of faith because we had gotten the knowledge of what good and what evil the Bible recorded. Without understanding, we needed to get the instructions of the Creator. And the first instruction of our Creator to humanity He made was don't get the knowledge of good and evil twisted. And yet, in Christendom, as humans, the first thing we want to hear is gossip. Someone's good, someone's evil, and then we go whatever side of the spectrum, and we either praise them and probably end up killing them, or we actually loathe them and despise them vehemently, ultimately killing them. Our knowledge of good and evil can kill somebody. Because if you get them for their good, say, oh, they're good people. Oh, we give them praise. And you put them up on a pedestal. Most people cannot exist on a pedestal you made for them. Let this man who's died 5 times by that mess or more, you put a person on a pedestal, that person will never live up to your pedestal. The moment they try to adjust and make it, that pedestal will snap and they will fall down like the old fable we have in America anyway. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses, all the king's men could never put Humpty Dumpty back together again. So man can never, ever, because of you getting gossip information, rumor mill information about the good that they did, they will then be pushed up by you onto a pedestal. And the moment something negative is found out about them, you will chop down that pedestal because you start chopping their name. Oh, I didn't know they did that. Oh, I didn't know. Forget the good that they did. All the thousands of things you done posted and put up and said that they did. The moment you find out they did one thing that you've done 29 times, but because you find them in your mind as so good and so great, you hoist them up on this pedestal. That person cannot exist on your pedestal. You are setting them up for their own death, and you will be the murderer. I know that sounds so strong, doesn't it? But it's true. How many people have you and I put up on pedestals, and when they fell off that pedestal, you didn't even want to walk over to them to help them. You're like, well, I guess you deserve that because you had me fooled. You had me thinking you were this, that, and the other. That's why gossip, the knowledge of good and evil, is so deadly. Did anybody learn anything through that revelation?
Yes, thank you.
Stop putting people up on pedestals based on what you heard. If someone is walking the life, someone is getting good praises, follow that model. But remember, in everything, you chew meat and you throw the bone away. If you like me, you crack that bone open, you get the marrow out. Some of y'all ain't never been poor before. I'm gonna tell you how to do it. You know you can make a bone a toothpick. You ain't gotta go out there and buy them toothpicks and floss. Get yourself a bone, crack it open, get that marrow out of there. It'll help you with your... Okay, that was supposed to be funny, but y'all not laughing. Okay, cool. No problem.
Go ahead.
So I want you to understand the first thing that Elohim told man to do was to till his ground. Meet me in Sabbath so I can tell you how to till the ground I made you to work in. The second thing he told him to do in that instruction was don't eat the gossip. What? Yeah, go back to chapter 2. He says, don't eat the knowledge, the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Don't eat it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't eat the tree's fruit called the knowledge of good and evil. And if you think about it, it equates to basically knowledge of good, knowledge of evil, not the creation and the potential of good, not the creation and the potential of evil. You just got a knowledge, like a glossed over version. That's technically tantamount to gossip.
Yes, sir.
Don't eat the gossip. If you do what I tell you to do, when the time comes, I'll take you. See, I am a firm believer that when Elohim made the first man, he told him not to eat that tree. Not that he put that tree in the garden for man not to consume, but that it would be a parentally guided consumption. Does that make sense? Meaning this, it's like your TVs and movies that you have, at least in America, and I think they got them in other countries as well, where you have a rating of a movie. It's either G for general audience, or PG for parentally guided, or R meaning restricted based on mindset, or rated R or triple X or whatever it is, right? So in the rating, you have this parentally guided experience. Okay, you can do this, but you need to understand how to operate in it. He says, of all the trees in the garden, you may freely eat. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, of the tree of the knowledge and good and evil, don't eat that. I'll get back around to y'all later, at a time when you're ready. For right now, I want y'all to just understand the good I gave you. Do y'all remember in Genesis chapter 1 where everything that Elohim did, he said the first day it was good, the second day was good, the third day was good, the fourth day was good, the fifth day was good, the sixth day was good, and then at the end of it, when he made man, it was very good. All Elohim wanted man to operate in was good. Why? So that we could learn, not just gossip about good, but learn and know and see the actual creative element of good and the pure potential of good played out in every possible capacity. And then when Elohim deemed it necessary, he would show man the knowledge, what's usually said about good, and then introduce man to evil, because all he gave man to know for sure was good. Day 1 was good, day 2 was good, day 3 was good, day 4 was good, day 5 was good, day 6 was good, and day 6.1 was very good. And then there was day 7, and that was just great. That's where I learned how to handle good, no evil. However, evil was always present. Evil was always present. So until man is made aware of evil, evil has no effect on him. Let me help some of y'all with this. This might not go over popular with some of y'all, but I hope it'll give you some sense of understanding. Y'all, and I really hope that Christendom stops this. Evil has no part in your life to oppress you, suppress you, depress you, negatively affect you if you are not a fear person and you are afraid of the evil reputation, the evil knowledge. See, if you operate in Elohim and his good, evil can't do nothing. It'll be there, it'll exist, but it can't affect you because you in the good. It's all good. Evil's present, but I'm riding in the good. Evil can't affect me when I'm in good. Now, if I step out of good, evil got me. If I'm riding good, then it's all good. Evil just watching me. They see me strolling. Evil see me strolling. You know, remember the little turtle meme? Y'all see me rolling. Yeah. When you walking in Elohim, when you walking in the grace of Elohim, evil is watching you to see when you're going to come out of that bubble called good. And the moment you come out of that bubble called good, where the evil perforates that bubble, or you are curious beyond the bubble, whatever it is, when you come out of good, evil now can oppress you. Evil now can depress you. Evil now can suppress you. Evil now can control you. Evil now can addict you. Evil now can hurt you. That's the only way. But even with that, that's why the blood never loses its power. When you plead the blood on your life and you sincerely repent for your sins and you turn back to the Father, evil no longer has a grip on you. That's why the blood never loses its power. Never, no matter how big your evil, no matter how bad your evil, no matter how quantitative your evil, it can never hold you as long as there's breath in your body and you can plead and clamor and contritely petition the Father for mercy, for grace under the veil of the blood of Yeshua HaMashiach. It don't matter what you did. It don't matter what you did last night. It don't matter what you did last summer. It don't matter what you did 12 years ago. It don't matter what you did when you were a baby. It doesn't matter what skeletons lie in your closet. His salvation, his grace becomes sufficient for you. So when you and I want to stop this in Christendom. Stop letting pastors and leaders and speakers come into your life telling you about witches. That's fear-mongering over evil intention. And the peddler is that speaker. Which means in order to solve your problem and profit from it, they got to create a problem and get you fearing over it. Then they can sell you the antidote. That's a typical process. I'm not calling people who come in and do it that, but many people are propagating that concept, not knowing they're propagating that concept. They think it's normal preaching and teaching of the gospel. Mind the people, let them know, sound the alarm, tell them where the witches are. No, I don't want to know nothing about your witches. I want to know about his goodness. If I got his good, I ain't got to worry about evil. If Adam does not eat the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, there is no problem for Adam and Eve. That's why Paul says later on in the book of Bereshit, he says, listen, I don't want to know nothing about you, your drama, your mama, your witches, your issues, your struggles, nothing. Just want to know what you know about the Father, because in that, everything is taken care of. I don't want to know about your drama. I don't want to know about your issues. If I should happen to see it, if I see my brother overtaken in a fault, then I'm going to restore my brother. Do y'all get that? So when you are now listening to people talking about, oh, the spirit of Leviathan and the spirit of Jezebel and the spirit of Delilah and the spirit of the cockatrice and the spirit of all these different spirits. Why are you worried about these spirits? That's why Yahweh says on the day of the Sabbath, don't talk to me about none of those other things of idolatry and witchcraft. That stuff don't matter if you in me. Somebody say that stuff don't matter if I'm in him.
That stuff don't matter.
What you think David was saying when he says, you prepare for me a table in the presence of my enemy? That table is Elohim's goodness. The enemy that's watching him in the presence, that's the evil watching, because you can't touch something that's under the wings of the Father. You can look at it. People are looking at you and people are looking at me who have been eating gossip, eating the good and evil of your deeds and watching Yahweh feed you and bless you, and they still wondering how you doing it, how you making it, how come you keep getting favor? Because I repented, because you went under the blood, because you baraked Elohim, because you oneg the Shabbat, because you kodesh the Shabbat, because you kabal the Shabbat, because you deem the Shabbat a delight. And like David, you prepare a table for me. I didn't prepare it, you did. I just obeyed your word. I just walked in what you said. And now You prepared a table for me, and my enemies got to watch me eat. The worst thing that can happen to your enemy, evil. Remember, you're not wrestling against flesh and blood. So the person that's being evil to you, they're not really your problem. It's the spirit behind them. It's the evil pushing to get you to be oppressed by them, to get you to be controlled by them. All of that goes along that. That's not what you're dealing with. You're not dealing with the person. They don't even know they're being, but they got to watch you eat. They got to watch you win. They got to watch you not die when you should have died, because the wage of your sin, they heard tell you did, was supposed to be death. Why is this joker? Why is this chick? Why is this dude? Why is this person still winning? I got all the gossip on where they been, what they did, how they did it. We done hired people to follow them. We done hired people to bug their phones. We got cameras in their car. We got trackers and GPS and Apple watches on their stuff. We haven't been watching. Why? How? What is it? How is they not? What is? And we can thank Adam for that mentality of gossip, of knowledge of good, knowledge of evil, never understanding the creator and the true potential of evil, the true potential of good. Did you know that evil could actually, if you have evil introduced to you by a parental guide, that evil can work for your good? That's what Romans was trying to tell you, and Paul was trying to tell you. And we know all things, good and evil, under Elohim, will work toward your good. See, you have a skewed understanding of evil because it's been presented by someone who had a knowledge of good and evil, not by the creator of evil. Let me yabo shut up. Listen, I gotta stop. I'm in public. These people don't think I'm crazy. Listen here. Do you understand that Elohim created evil as a counterpart to good, to give a balance to your world? So evil is an entity that, if left unruled, without concept, will run amok. So does good have the same potential. If left run amok, you will find yourself dying on an uncontrollable binge of good, just like you will die on an uncontrollable binge of evil. I am not telling you to do evil. I am not telling you to do wicked. I'm telling you that Elohim made perfection when he made the counterparts good and evil. So when he comes at you with good, you know what you're doing. When he comes at you with evil, it will work for the balance of your life. Somebody say, I'm going to stay in Sabbath so I can learn.
I'm gonna stay in the Sabbath so I can Sabbath. So I can stay in the Sabbath. Yahweh be praised.
Y'all not gonna talk to me on YouTube. Y'all not gonna talk to me on YouTube. Y'all ain't gonna strike in nothing. Y'all not happy about that. Y'all don't get Facebook. You nobody got nothing to say about that. Just give us a little cue. Strike something in there. Listen, I'm gonna stay in Sabbath so I can learn, because today was designed for me to learn. Yahweh was going to introduce them to the knowledge of good and evil when he had given them enough good that they would have been able to now talk about this fruit of this tree. Here's the catch. They were to till the ground for that tree's fruit to be produced. The only thing was they were not to eat it until Yahweh, the chef of all food and chef of all sustainability, said, come on, y'all, let me introduce y'all to this fruit. Now that you understand good, where it comes from, what its intentions are, let me introduce you to this, a little bit of this seasoning called the knowledge of good and evil. I want to guide you into this. You ever had somebody take you to a spice? I don't do spice anymore. I do it, but it's got to be parentally guided. Some of y'all can eat a whole Scotch bonnet. God be with you and your gastrointestinal tract. Truly, you are blessed. Some of y'all can eat chili peppers, ghost peppers, biting on seeds of jalapenos. That ain't me. If you're going to give me a spice, give me a small slice so it can cleanse my palate. Give me some wasabi and I will put it in and check it and mix it in just right so it cleanses my palate, helps me to taste the next plate full of food. But those of you who got your little Scotch bonnets and got your little chili peppers, your ghost peppers, your jalapenos, and all that y'all do with them, may the Lord be with you. Kabo Shatai, EKOC. Look, go with that. But at the end of the day, there are some of us who need to have those types of spices, though the spices have a nutritional value to you. You can't just go drop in a whole tablespoon of wasabi, a whole Scotch bonnet the size of a tangerine. You can't just go shoving down your throat a ghost pepper, a chili pepper, or the powder. You just can't do it. That's got to be integrated into your life. If your first take at a spice, it will literally make your head hurt. You will wish to Elohim your tongue didn't exist. Your lips, you will want to rip off your face. Your nose becomes a hydrant. It just turns on and just stuff comes out and you can't stop it. Your eyes are swelling, your ears are smoking, your hair is growing on your bald head. Listen, you have to be introduced to those things. They have to be integrated into your life. That's what Elohim was going to do with the knowledge of good and evil. Give them all good for as long as he could give them good. And then in that right time, he would say, let me introduce you to this spice of life. Y'all not gonna say that's not a good analogy? Y'all really think I just make this stuff up as I go along? This is Sabbath infused. This is why I do Sabbath. Do y'all understand that? It's not about the pepper. It's about the analogy. It's about the understanding. It's about the comprehensive of what Elohim wants to do in our lives and how we in our ignorance, because we got a daddy who gave us the mentality that, you know what, God must be hiding something. I'm going to go get that. No, mom and dad hiding something. How many of y'all will admit on Sabbath, don't lie, it's the Sabbath. How many of y'all will admit, I don't care if you used to practice a holiday of the world where they would buy gifts on a certain day of a year, in December, and then they buy it like weeks in advance, and you, the children, sort of kind of got wind that something extra was going on in the bedroom, and y'all would wait till they leave and sneak in and crawl under beds and crawl in the closets and go up in the attics and down into, little walker spaces. Nobody would. I need more people. I need y'all to go ahead and own this today. How many of y'all, whether it was a birthday gift or something, you had to find out what you thought you had got wind of? I know I'm guilty. Yes, Lord, I'm guilty, and mine is a whole lot deeper than some gift. Okay. All right, mine's a whole lot deeper than some gift. If I tell you my story, you'll be like, "Oh, you did that?" I'm like, "Yeah, we did that." Didn't even know the damage we were causing. Thank Elohim, nobody died. But you got this thing that says, "Oh, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Why can we eat? How come we can eat of all these trees in the garden, but we can't eat of that tree?" And then something tells you, oh, God is hiding something from you. He knows if you eat this, then you'll be like him. Oh, he holding out on me, huh? Now you are in good. You are the king. You are luxuriating in life. You've got everything you need. You walking around here, it's basically free as a jaybird. You can eat anything you want. Just don't eat that tree. That's all you gotta do. Thousands upon thousands of trees. You even had the tree of life in the same garden, and you can eat that all you wanted, but you just don't touch that till I get ready to show it to you. And you thinking you know something because you've tried everything. Everything ain't failed. But you just gotta try this tree over here because somebody suggested to you that you're not being told the whole truth. And Elohim is like, I'm never going to hide anything from you. Do you know that Elohim would never tempt you? His job is not to tempt you. His purpose is never to tempt you. So he would not put that tree in the garden to tempt them, contrary to a Christian doctrine that's out there. They were going to use that tree when they were mature enough for it. Some things you got to get a good dosage of good and life before you deal with this spice that has the ability to take your life. And if you got enough of good life experience, you won't risk losing your life to that particular spice. You'll know how to handle it. Because it's not that you won't get evil in your life. You will get evil in your life. But if you got enough good and you got enough of the nutrients of the tree of life in you, then you'll know, okay, I can use this to sort of kind of bolster and push. I got to just put a little bit of that spice in there to give it this texture and taste that it needs to get us to the next side. And you'll know how to use that spice, because evil was not created to not be used. It's just that you got to have a base of good. Balance is good and evil. Elohim made them both. And you are going to encounter them both. Why? Because it rains on the just as well as the unjust. Balance. Good is going to hit your door and evil is going to hit your door. Why? Balance. Calamity is going to come your way and celebration is going to come your way. Balance. You have a day to be born and you have a day to die. Balance of the concept of life. Every time, I just laid my sister to rest. But every time in my life and my family where a particular gender of age, maturity has gone on, within that month, another gender, same gender, is born. Let me help you. My dear sister, birthday's in January, in this case, and I got several more I can give you. I give you lineage. This is the fresh one. My sister's birthday was in January. She left us. I'm not going to say her replacement, but her passing in January, matter of fact, January 1, we received a granddaughter. So he's not going, it's balance. There's life, the granddaughter born in January, and there's death. Balance. Now I get to appreciate both lives and hear the life that I was with and took for granted better. Now that will help me with the new life coming in to be more intentional and more productive in their life on purpose. Balance. Life and death. I need y'all to type in balance all over every platform, Clubhouse, YouTube, and Facebook. Come on. So, as we put this in context, Elohim gave us Genesis, chapter and number 2, for a reason. Verse 3 makes this statement so clear to us, so very clear to us, that Elohim baraked the seventh day. He then sanctified that seventh day. What does it mean to sanctify day 7? This day is just not any old day. This day is sanctified. This is that word Kodesh I told you about earlier. It is a Hebrew word. Look at the board, look at the board, look at the screen, look at the screen, look on YouTube, look on Facebook. It is the Strong's Index H6942. It is the word Kodesh. Okay? And what this word means, primitively, it means to make, pronounce, or observe something as clean, whether it's ceremonially clean or morally clean. This word Kodesh means to appoint something, to bid something, to consecrate something, to dedicate something. In a negative sense, it could mean to defile something, but also in a positive sense, it means to hallow something, meaning to be kept, meaning to be, meaning to keep, meaning to be holy, meaning to keep holy, meaning to be kept holier, meaning to be and keep something in a holy place, meaning to keep, to prepare, to proclaim, to purify, to sanctify, to be sanctified in, meaning to sanctify oneself wholly. So the word Kodesh, the word sanctified, I know the church taught you years ago that, sanctification, righteousness is right, and you got to be sanctified. And when you get sanctified, you got this, you got that, you got the other. And we didn't understand sanctification. We understood sanctification as just clean. Like you went in the house and you bought some Lysol, or you bought some bleach, or some Pine Sol, some Clorox, and you sanctified your house. You sanctified the white walls, the baseboards. You sanctified the toilet. You sanctified the bathtub. You sanctified the sink. Y'all ever had the Clorox sanctification moment in your life? I know we did. So I want to make sure you understand that there's a difference in sanctification you had preached and sanctification Yahweh is trying to teach. So when you look, you're not talking to me. So when you look at the word sanctification here, I wanted to be clear because I want y'all to catch it. The word sanctification here is very important. This word sanctification is the word Kodesh. It's the same word for holy. It means to pronounce something or observe something or make something clean, to appoint, to bid, to consecrate, to dedicate, to hallow, to sanctify something holy. Now, why is this a significant thing? Because when Elohim makes this statement in verse number 3, look right here in verse number 3. Look at what he says. And Elohim baraked the seventh day, and he sanctified that day. So if we use this word in its proper definition, look at what he says. To sanctify this day, meaning he appointed blessings for you in this day. You don't even know what those blessings are because you don't know what you have need of as you ought. Does anybody remember the writer of the epistle who said, we don't know how to pray as we ought. When we come to pray, we come to the Father for something. We come for a thing. But we don't know what we got need of. We know what we want. We know what they told us to buy. We know what we heard was the new fashion. We heard what they said was the new style. We heard and we said who was the new brand. We knew and we heard what was supposed to be the new thing, the newfangled thing. But we don't know what to pray for as we ought. We just pray for stuff that's new. God, that's supposed to be popular. Can you give me that so I can be relevant in my civilization? Oh God, they told me you're supposed to have a 5-bedroom house and 4 bathrooms. Can you give me that, God? God, you supposed to have a Rolls Royce nowadays. God, can you give me that? God, you supposed to have Yves Saint Laurent sneakers. God, can you give me that? God, you supposed to have a Coach this, and God, you supposed to have a Chanel this, and God, you supposed to have a Louboutin that, and God, can you give me that? We don't know what to pray for as we ought. So when you come into Shabbat, Elohim already knows what you got need of. Now you connect Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. Seek first the kingdom. The etiquette, the edict of Elohim is that we come into the Sabbath and we don't seek our own. We don't seek our own pleasures. He already knows what we got need of. We don't come in for what we want. We come in for what he knows we need. And if we got what he knows we need, it covers every want we could have. And the wants we have will be byproducts of the foundation of the need. Do y'all understand that? We don't know what to pray for as we ought. But yet we say, I'm going to go before God and make my petition known. I'm going to go up there. Half of these prayers we are making, Yahweh is not obligated to perform because we're not mature for him. We're not mature enough to have them. Can we take a subjective walk through the Torah for a second? I need permission to take a subjective walk through the Torah for just a minute. Will y'all allow me to do that?
Yes, sir.
A subjective walk. So if you want to come at me for eisegetics, you can. But let's go back to Genesis, the account, the record of Adam and Ishai. Let's go back to them being in the garden. No other people in the garden with them too. Y'all need to know that. There's nobody else on the planet. I don't care what anybody tells you. There's nobody else on the planet. These two entities were not born. These two entities were made. So there were no other people on the planet at the time of this transgression. Let me say that again. Let me remember my point for why I'm coming over here. Okay, I got my point. Now let me give you this piece. There were no other people, humans, on the planet when Adam and Ishai was on the planet before the sin with the commandment of eating the tree, the fruit of that tree. Before the knowledge of good and evil and that food consumption, there were no other people on the planet. This is where people make a mistake because we just think we can. You and I were born. You came from a spermatozoa connected to an egg and an ovary, and then you came down a birth canal. And you were kept in an amniotic sac, and you had an umbilical cord that had to be cut. You and I, Adam and Ishai, do not have that experience. Adam don't know what it's like to be in an umbilical sac. Be connected to an umbilical cord in an amniotic sac. Neither does Ishai. When she was in the womb, she was mad. She was humanity. She was made in that pulchritude. So that feministic element was there, like the masculinity element was there. They both occupied the same human, right? Then he took the feminine out, the womb man, and gave that womb man, that femininity, its own pulchritude. From the pulchritude, it made the human from. But there were no other humans on the planet. None. Not according to our biblical account, and it's pretty good. So Adam and Eve were not born. They were made, crafted by the hand of Elohim. So when anybody comes to you and tell you there was other people on the planet, it don't say where he made any other human beings except that one, and in them was two. Then he separated the one to make two, and he made them. They were not born. They did not come down a birth canal. They were in the hand of Elohim. He formed their lungs. He formed their liver. He formed their spleen. Everything about them. Got it? So now, that's the thing I wanted to get clear. Moving on from that. Adam and Eve were not born. They were made. So here's the subjective walk down the Torah lane. I am curious if whether or not Elohim would have engaged Adam and Ishai in this regard. When evil, occupying the serpent, presented a sales pitch to mankind that they can eat the tree and not die. I wonder if Adam, having stepped up and simply said, Elohim said we shall not eat it. My wife was wrong in that we can't touch it because we're the tillers of the ground. We gotta touch it. That's our job. He said, just don't eat it. So, babe, he said, don't eat it. He ain't say we couldn't touch it. That would have killed one door. Now, what would have happened if Adam, being curious, kept his household from eating it, but then said, Isha, let's take this to the Father. I mean, we've been around here. We done ate everything in this garden so far, possibly. Subjective, possibly. We've eaten everything, tasted everything, felt every tree. Isha, let's go before the Father and let's inquire, because this that was weird for the serpent to come at us. Let's go see what the Father got to say. What would have happened if they would have taken that suggestion to the Father? I oftentimes wonder if he would have been like, okay, now that you're inquiring about it, let me introduce it to you. Again, I am of the proponent. I am of the idea that Elohim does not tempt man. He does not. We can vet that through the writ. It is not Elohim's job to tempt man. He will, however, have man in situations where he can be tested. But he does not tempt man with foolishness to get you to die. He will see if you're going to obey him, but not if you're going to disobey him. He wants to see if when I give you something to do, whether you'll do it. Same thing he did with Israel, right? When Moshe was told. And if you go to Genesis, no. If you go to Shemot, no. Yeah, Shemot 16. And you read the beginning of Shemot 16, you'll see that Elohim says, I'm going to put this manna down on the ground. I'm going to give you 6 days worth. On day 6, I'm going to give you twice as much, so you'll cover day 7. I want to see if your people will obey me. Now, that was not a temptation, was it? Let's talk about it. I need some pastors and some prophets. I need y'all to talk to me. So if when you see the fact that people say, well, he tempted somebody, he tempted Job. No, he didn't tempt Job. He did not. He wanted to see how Job would respond. He didn't tempt him. Well, that's tempting. You being semantics. No. See, because temptation means something that will literally kill you. It'll cause you to transgress. No, he allowed for calamity to happen to see how they would respond. In the case of Israel leaving Egypt, they were in need. He already promised to provide for them. He promised to provide for them before they left Egypt. They got out there and didn't think he was providing, and then they was like, yo, we out of bread. Elohim then says, I heard y'all. I heard y'all complaining about the wrong people. And then Elohim says, tell them I'm going to give them manna. But look at what he says in Shemot chapter number 16. He says, in not tempting them, but letting them have a test. I'm going to give you manna 6 days. On day 6, I'm going to give you twice for 2 days. I want to see if they're going to go out on day 7. I want to see if they're going to follow the instructions I gave them. He wasn't trying to kill him. He wasn't trying to tempt him to do wrong. He just was trying to say, I wonder if they are going to be of the mindset and mentality, not that he didn't know, but to show Moshe more than anything. I want to see if they're going to obey my word. Okay, you know what? Let's go. Exodus 16. All right, let's go. Go, 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 go. Boom. Here we go. Exodus 16. It's on the screen. Look at it. Look at this. I want y'all to talk back at me in a couple seconds here. Look at what he says. And they took their journey to Elim. We are in Exodus 16, verse 1. And they took their journey to Elim. And all the congregation of the children of Israel came unto the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai. On the 15th day of the 2nd month after their departing out of the land of Egypt, the whole congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moshe and Aaron in the wilderness. And the children of Israel said, I would to God that we had died in the land by the hand of Yahweh in the land of Egypt when we were sitting by flesh pots. All they could think about is their bellies. And we could have died when we were full of bread that we were eating. But y'all done brought us out here into this wilderness to kill us. All of us, the whole assembly. You brought us out here to have a hunger, death? Verse 4, they said, then said Yahweh unto Moshe, behold, I will rain bread down from heaven for you. Look at verse 4. Then said Yahweh unto Moshe, I will rain bread down from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather it at a certain rate, that I may prove them whether they will walk in my law, my instruction, or not. Verse 4 again. Yahweh told Moshe, I will rain bread from heaven for you. The people shall go out to gather a certain rate every day, so I can prove them whether they will walk in my instructions, my law, my mitzvah, my Torah, or not. So I'm hoping that you can see the way that the things are being done here. So when we pay attention to how Elohim works with proving, we think it's tempting. It's not. He didn't tempt them to sin. He tempted them to see if they were going to follow the instructions. They're new. They're fresh out. Let's see if they're going to follow the instructions. This isn't sinfulness, as it were. He simply gave them instructions on how to get the bread they're complaining about and murmuring about, by the way, to the wrong people. So this is what Elohim does here. Do y'all see that? So I wonder what would have happened, since Elohim is not in the business of tempting anyone. What would have happened if Adam, Isha, after the serpent's experience, would have in fact taken that issue to the Father, because they got access to him, and asked him, hey, Father, Yahweh, in the Sabbath, a serpent came to us. I didn't think they talk like that, but serpent came to us and talking about, you hiding something from us in the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Is there anything we should know? Y'all forgive me for my imagination. Again, I did get subjective permission, right? To be subjective, right? Here, I'm not trying to be subjective. I'm trying to be subjective, but I'm trying to drive a point. So what if, in fact, they've been given this opportunity? What if they would have taken that opportunity to the Father? I really believe, and I could be wrong, but I really believe, like the father I am, if my children came to me and said, hey, dad, somebody said this about what you told me not to mess with. All right, well, let's sit down and talk about it. If they were mature enough, I'd start integrating it into their lives and telling them this is what that looks like. This is what that feels like. There can be a benefit to this, but then there are also going to be some dangers you need to be very much aware of. I may take them to an entire regimen of how to handle hazmatically you everything, if I think that they're mature enough to begin that conversation, to begin that engagement, that interaction with that thing, or simply tell them you're not ready for that. You're not ready for that. And so, because we're created in His image and in His likeness, I subjectively think about that encounter, how it could have gone differently. And we may have a whole different experience and a mentality in us presently if the tree of the knowledge of good and evil was handled differently. Not on Elohim's part, but by man. If Elohim told you not to do something and everything you got is good, you were brought into a situation of paradise, and something you got dominion over is going to tell you because it was here before you got here, because this is human history, not the history of the world. You missing out on something in that tree. He holding back something from you. I would go to the Father and be like, hey, you gave me this job. You gave me this life. You're teaching me everything I need to know. Somebody just gave me some suggestion about this tree. What should I do with it? He's either going to tell me, we'll get to it another time, just don't mess with it like I told you. Or, you know what, the fact that you asked me, come on, let's sit down and talk about this. Let me enlighten you. Now, you're not ready for this, but I don't want to be subjective, but I'm being subjective because I think it's the way we do. Apostle Walker says, yes, just like we do the birds and the bees talk with our children. Okay, you ain't mature enough for that. I know you're hearing about it on your songs that you're singing from your favorite rapper or city girls or whatever else you little people are listening to. Well, they saying this and you told us not to, and they saying this won't be okay. Well, come here, let me explain to you. Like I did with mine, I sat them down and showed them every disease that came with this action. And they was like, yeah, I'm good. Don't want that. No. You should have saw my daughter. She was like, My son was like, yeah, no, I'm good. So, exactly, Apostle Walker. That's what we would have to do, like we do our children, with the birds and bees talk, and with other things, with drugs, with cigarettes, with alcohol, with contraband, with vaping. You have to sit down with your child. Now, like Adam and like the parenthood, our children hear outside sources away from our governance, and then they engage without the parents' permission. Now, life is never going to be the same. Too embarrassed to say they disobeyed. Got to deal with the repercussions from it. It's going to be brought to the point where we got to deal with it. So parents, in a Sabbath teachable moment here, not that Elohim forgot about the tree, but pay attention to what goes on with your children. And in the world we live in today, with all the different things, even when it comes to traveling, I'd still recommend telling your children, when you in certain areas, you trapped in a train, plane, an automobile with other people, you don't know their environment, mask up. Real talk. We've normalized it. Keep it going. It might be the difference between you catching something virally from somebody who don't know they're carrying something, and that goes for a lot, you know, um, in sexuality. Um, just because somebody looks healthy don't mean they are healthy. Um, you thinking, oh, they cute, they fine, I can do this, I can do that. Be careful. Talk to them. Smoking cigarettes. Oh, they smoking cigarettes, yeah, but you don't know what their lungs look like. You don't know the carcinogens that they've consumed, and the different types of potentials that they have going on medically inside of them. You don't know. So we can't sign off on that. Don't just do that because they say, oh, I can. No, be careful. Talk about eating. If we would start talking to our children about the eating, um, you know, they want sweets, and they want Debbie cakes, and they want Twinkies, and they want all these different types of sweets and all this. Talk to them about it. Oh yeah, it's good to have, but you can't have too much of it. And don't just tell them, don't eat that. But you really got to break it down to them. Your children are sponges of information. If you put the right information in your child, I promise you, they will grow up as healthy as can be. They will grow up a lot healthy. But let me say it this way: they'll grow up a lot healthier than the generations of late we've been producing these last 50 years in America, particularly. No, not just America, across the globe, because we are putting so much into our foods. If you explain to your children the necessity for proper protein consumption, proper simple carb consumption, proper moderation of desserts and sugars and salts and all of these different things, it's a simple conversation. You ain't got to get down and break it down to the molecular level. But you know what the problem is? We don't think the children can learn that, and they can. They want to. We limit their ability to learn and advance the situations of our environments that we live in, because we too busy. We ain't got time, and then we think they're not going to learn it because you might have to explain it twice. But once you've explained it a few times, they going to get it, and they will enhance it and carry it further than you, further than me. Oh, we can't teach. I remember 20, 30 years ago, we can't teach children computers. Well, we got babies right now scrolling on TikTok. I mean, 2-year-old babies scrolling on TikTok, making their own TikToks, making their own reels on Facebook, making their own IGs. 2 years old, know how to manipulate it, work it, play with the computer game. Some of y'all pacify you. No pacifier for the mouth now. You just give them a tablet, and that baby for 2 years old is completely pacified. We at 30 and 20 back then couldn't even type 60 words a minute on the keyboard to get a job. I remember I couldn't type in 120 words a minute. About Pecker, they called me Woody Woodpecker. Now I'm a little bit more fluid, but back then, and these children now, they know how to wipe, stripe, hoop, clack, they QWERTY board and everything. Babe, teach your children. They will get it and run with it and thank you later. So with Elohim's way of doing things, I wonder if he would have taken those children, Adam and Ishai, when they said, hey, serpent just came at us about blah, blah, blah. If Yahweh would have been like, okay, since he's trying to introduce you, you think Yahweh would not have known that that was evil suggesting that? Because the serpent don't really care about these humans. The serpent is subject to the humans. So he would have known that evil jumped in here. He would have known that evil took over here. He would have known that evil was afoot here, because Elohim would have known. All his children, all his people needed to do was bring him back that which ran contrary to his instruction. And he could have told them, okay, they're trying to set you up for failure. Let me show you why. I'm hiding something from you. Come here. Let me show you. This ain't hiding it from you. This is protecting. There's a difference in me protecting you and not talking about it, and me hiding something from you and not talking about it. So here is what can happen if you mishandle this evil, you mishandle this fruit. Why is that a significant thing in this subjective analogy? because we're made in his image and in his likeness. We operate just like Elohim do. At the bare minimum and the bare basic foundation of our existence and our operations, we operate like Elohim. What's true in the natural is first true in the spiritual. We are going to operate like Elohim. So just keep that in your mind. Now, back to understanding Sabbath. When we come into Sabbath, if we deem this day a neg, we deem the day wrong. And since we're here in Exodus 16, let's just take this further in Exodus 16. I brought you here to verse 4 so you can learn what it meant here. Look at verse 16. Chapter 16, Exodus chapter 16. We're here because it says, then Yahweh said unto Moshe, I'm going to rain down bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather in a certain rate every day, that I may prove the people whether the people will walk in my instructions or not. Verse 5. And it shall come to pass, look at verse 5. And it shall come to pass on day 6, they shall prepare that which they bring in. It shall be twice as much as they gather daily on day 6. Verse 6 says, and Moshe and Aaron said unto the children of Israel, listen, y'all, at even, you're going to know that Yahweh brought you out of the land of Egypt. All right, let me break that down because many of y'all just skip right past that. Moshe and Aaron were told by Yahweh what he would do by raining down manna. I'm going to prove them, Moshe, in front of you to show you how hard-headed these jokers are, okay? Or how obedient they're going to be. I'm going to prove them. I'm going to give you instructions. You and Aaron are going to tell it to them. Let's see how they do with it. Okay, so let's keep watching the storyline. Verse 5, it came to pass that on day 6, they shall prepare that which they will bring in. Now on day 6, it will be twice as much as they would gather daily on days 1 through 5. Verse 6, Moshe and Aaron then said to all the children of Israel, at even, in the evening of this day, Yahweh is going to show you that he is the one who brought you out of Egypt. Verse 7, and then in the morning, you're going to see the glory of Yahweh. All right? Verse 7, in the morning, you're going to see the glory of Yahweh, for he hears your murmurings against Yahweh. And what are we? Y'all been complaining at us like we're the reason y'all out of Egypt. Why were you complaining against us? Moshe said, this shall be when Yahweh shall give you in the evening flesh to eat. And then in the morning, he's going to give you bread to the full. For Yahweh heard your murmurings, which you murmur against him. Still don't know why y'all murmured against us, because we ain't the ones. We didn't do it, right? Your murmurings are not against us, but your murmurings are against Yahweh. He brought you out. Verse 9, Moshe then spake to Aaron, and he told him, tell the children to come before Yahweh, because he heard their murmurings. It came to pass, Aaron spoke to the whole congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of Yahweh appeared in a cloud. Verse 11, and Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, I have heard the murmurings of the people of Israel. So speak unto them and tell them at even they're going to eat flesh, and in the morning they shall be filled with bread. And you shall know that I am Yahweh, who is your Elohim. And it came to pass that at even the quails came up and covered the camp. And in the morning the dew lay around about the host. And when the dew that was lay was gone up, behold, upon the face of the wilderness there lay a small round thing, It was as small as a hoarfrost on the ground. Verse 15. And when the children of Israel saw it, they said one to another, it's manna, for we don't know what it is. We wist not what it was. Verse 15 part B says, and Moshe said unto them, listen, y'all, this is bread which Yahweh has given you, because you asked for bread. We don't know what this is. This ain't bread like we know. You asked for bread. So Yahweh gave you bread. Verse 16. This thing which Yahweh has commanded, here's the instructions. Verse 16. Gather it, every man according to his eating. That will mean an omer for every man. And then you multiply that by the number of people in your tent. Verse 17. The children of Israel did that. They gathered. Some had more people, some had less people. And when they did measure each person to an omer, the people who gathered much had nothing over, and the people who gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating. Verse 19. Moshe then said, let no man leave of what you gathered that day until the morning hour. Verse 20. Notwithstanding, they did not listen to Moshe. Some of them left that they made today over for tomorrow, and it bred worms and it stank. Moshe was very upset, wroth with them. Verse 21. And they agreed, or rather they gathered it every morning, days 1 through 5, 1 through 6, every morning they gathered according to each man's eating. And when the sun got hot, what was left melted. Verse 22. It came to pass that on day 6, they ended up gathering twice as much bread. They gathered 2 omers for one man. And so all the rulers of the congregation came and they told Moshe, and they said, he said, listen, this is that which Yahweh told y'all. See, you're on day 6 right now. Tomorrow is the Sabbath day of rest unto Yahweh. Verse 23, part B. Bake that which you shall bake today. Boil that which you shall boil today. And whatever remains over today, at the end of day 6, keep that until the morning. So in this case, they laid it up till the morning, just like Moshe had said, and it didn't stink, nor were there worms inside. Moshe said, y'all go ahead and eat that today. Why? Because today is the Sabbath of rest unto Yahweh. To you, this day, you're not going to find bread in the fields. 6 days shall you gather it, but on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath, in it, the Sabbath, there will be no bread. Verse 27, and it came to pass. Here's the proof. The people still did not obey his words. It came to pass that there went out some of the people on the 7th day for to gather more bread. And on the 7th day, they found none. And Yahweh said to Moshe, how long refuse you people to keep my commandments and my instructions? Verse 29. See, Yahweh gave you guys the Sabbath day. He gave you the Sabbath. He barak the Sabbath for you. He kodesh the Sabbath for you. He oneged the Sabbath for you. He kabod the Sabbath for you. Verse 29, Yahweh gave you Sabbath. Therefore, he gave you on day 6 enough bread for 2 days. Abide ye every man in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the 7th day. So the people rested on the 7th day. Now, here we find, according to what we teach you all the time. What do you do on Sabbath? How do you Sabbath? What is Sabbath really all about? What are we doing with this? Well, in the Sabbath day, you don't go out of your dwelling place on the seventh day. You don't. You don't. You don't go out the seventh day. You just don't do it. You don't leave your place. You don't leave the place you have contracted for. You don't leave the place you have a deed for. Doesn't mean you can't go to a different city and have Sabbath in another city. Like today, for instance, I'm in Sabbath. Now, people say, well, you're not supposed to be, yes, I have a contract for the place that I'm in that best suits the needs for me to study with you all in Sabbath. And so my contract with the facility and my membership with that facility allows for me to use the facility that is my residence. It does not mean I'm relegated to, the bedroom of that facility, right? Because having a contract to reside there and lodge there, you have a contract with the entire facility. Now, you don't go out and engage in the facility, just like if you had your home on Sabbath, you can have 20 acres of land. Well, if you got a jungle gym and you got what's that springboard thing? Children jump on a trampoline. You got a basketball court and a tennis court in the backyard or a soccer court in the backyard. You can go back there and, walk it and sit and move around, and the children can chase you out there. You know what I mean? You are on your property. You don't leave your place on the Sabbath day, not your house. Now, if all you own is a house or all you own is a room in that house, and that's it, right? But if you have access to common areas, those common areas, you are allowed to roam. You just don't leave your place of residence on the Sabbath day. You understand? And so that's how you have to understand it. So when he says in verse number, look at what he says here in verse number 30. Look at the Bible here. He says in verse number 29, see that Yahweh has given you the Sabbath. He doesn't want you to work on it. Therefore, he gives you, he doesn't want you to do any servile work. He does not want you serving anyone on Sabbath, right? And so he says that you don't do any servile work on that day. He's giving you the Sabbath. Therefore, he gives you bread on day 6 so that you have enough for day 7, so you don't have to collect it on day 7. But then he says in part B of verse 29, abide you, every man in his place, and let no man go out of his place on the 7th day. So, verse 30, the people rested on the 7th day. So the 7th day is a day of rest. And if you're traveling like I am now on location, having, sacerdotal duties to perform in a day that wasn't the Sabbath, but so that I'm not traveling on the Sabbath, I take resident at a, at a lodging facility. No different. Many don't get this because you don't understand what took place when Messiah was born. When Miriam and Useph were being sort of kind of forced to go down into Bethlehem, the place of their birth, in the city or the time of Jerusalem, having Herod as a king, and Rome wanting a census. So they're headed to Jerusalem, but they have to stop into Bethlehem to be counted, right? And this was relatively smart. It was a very wise thing to do, since you're trying to get a census and account of all the Jews in the region. Well, every year they come home, and you can get them to go to their city of birth before they come to Jerusalem and make your count there. So this way you know who is from where. See, because that's how Messiah ends up in Bethlehem. Because Miriam and Usef are traveling to Bethlehem, but they're preparing for the feast of Sukkah. So there is a famous statement that says there was no room in the inn, which is why Yeshua was birthed in a manger, more like a cave where you put livestock in when it was too cold to be out on the fields, the pastures. But it wasn't cold enough yet, so the livestock that would usually be in that enclosure were out with the shepherds in the pastures. And though there was not a place feasible for humans in the inn, at the Holiday Inn, the Motel 6, the Red Roof, or whatever, okay, the reason they were booked up is because it was during a feast season. So they were moving into an area that was not their home, but they were establishing their residence for Sabbath when they in fact came into that city and purchased that hotel, that inn, that lodging. So many don't know how to explain Sabbath keeping as a traveler through the world. So if you're in another country, you're traveling to another state or another city, I oftentimes have to factor in Sabbath so that I am not in error of Sabbath and not traveling during Sabbath and not in events during Sabbath. So like I said, we prepared for my sister's homegoing on Friday, and they knew it had to be done before Sabbath for me. And we took it right up to about sundown. And then they knew that I had to retire to keep Shabbat. Now, not all my family does, but I'm not going to force them into it and stay at my mom's house or, whatever. Plus, I don't like being cramped up with people, so I always get my own personal space, because no one should be subject to what I believe unless they want to be subject to that. Prayerfully, my demonstration of it brings an inquiry, and then through that inquiry, I can render an answer, and then they can contemplate, and they can choose to engage or to not. But in Sabbath, I procure my lodging, and then I have access. So you see me now in this environment that's not my home, but this is my contracted right. I'm in a quiet area. No one is around. I'm not engaging in TVs and a whole bunch of traffic and engaging a whole bunch of people. I'm not talking about anything but the word. I'm not contemplating anything but his word. In this day, I deem him Chodesh. I deem the day Oneg. I deem the day Chabad. I Chabad him in it. I Barak him in it. And see, if you're just tuning in right now, those Hebrew words we're using for how we're deeming the day and how we're doing him, you would think we're being like a cult. But no, it's just those words have a better understanding for the words called sanctification, called honoring, honorable, and calling a delight. Those words go deeper than our English definitions, or at least they give you access to what else can be the meaning for that English translated word in that particular content and put it in context. So We got there because people are like, well, you're at a place that's not your home, but I have contract for this, and that's why I stay in certain places so that I'm consistent with it. So you know that that's where I'm at when I'm in that region, that city, or whatever, and it becomes like home, like a second home. You know, you even develop relationships with people who might be at that institution, know not to even let certain things happen when you're in that space. Um, they say, "Hey, here come Doc. Here come, here come Mr. VW. Here comes, Apostle," and they inquire about what you do, and you tell them, and they say, "Oh, well, we can help. We'll make sure no one bothers you. We'll make sure that we put it in the file. You don't bother between these hours, and you're good." This day. So I hope that it helps you understand how to keep Sabbath better. My battery is dying, and one thing I didn't do, Elder Apostle Walker is going to have my head, is I did not bring, by mistake, a second battery. I do have a charger for this one, but it's not down here with me. I forgot to bring it into this very quiet area. The space that they gave me this time was very dark, low lighting, and it just no lighting at all. So it was a spacious for me. I need my space, but it wasn't well lit. So I came down to a secluded lobby area um, to chat with you guys and prayerfully have not bothered another individual, trying to work. I'm just trying to keep it 100 with y'all so y'all know what you can do and you can't do, because there's some people who will tell you, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. Please read your writ. All right. What you don't do is go to church. Facts. Scares people. And what you don't do is you don't have the plumber come or the electrician come to your home. You don't have people serve you on the Sabbath. Again, to the church point, usher can't be your usher on Sabbath. The preacher can't be your preacher on the Sabbath. The musician, the praise team can't entertain you on the Sabbath. That would be them serving you on the Sabbath, right? And you are not to do it. You can't be the preacher. You can't be the usher. You can't be the musician. You can't be the psalmist on the Sabbath. That's serving people. We study together. We talk about his word together. And you reside in your dwelling place on the Sabbath. So the people rested on the Sabbath. And you don't have, again, the plumber come in. You don't have the landscaper. I don't even have the landscapers cutting my yard on Sabbath. If you don't catch me early Friday morning, you can catch me on Sunday morning all you want. But from Friday at sundown till Saturday at sundown, nobody serves me. No dry cleaner, no cooks, no. The whole process of this is that you don't receive service and you don't make someone serve you. You don't pay for a service that's there, as it were. Well, how do you do that if you're at altar? They don't serve me. In Sabbath, I rest. I get what I need before Sabbath. I get my fruits. I get my bananas. I get my watermelon pieces or whatever I'm going to have. And until that day is over, you can't serve me. I get my waters, my coffees, my teas. I make my own and whatever, and that's just it. But there is no serving. There's no paying for services on that day. And many don't know that, but now you do. All right. You are more than welcome. And you don't get your mani pedis on that. Well, we luxuriate in the Sabbath, but you don't get a mani pedi. You don't get a back rub, and you don't get the scalp treatment. No, no services are done to you on the Sabbath, and you don't render services on the Sabbath. Friday at sundown till Saturday at sundown on the Gregorian calendar. That's the facts. But many argue that. Wanda Floyd, you said I didn't know that when I first started. You want to qualify that for those who are viewing that?
Yeah, when I first started keeping Sabbath, I just learned that we were supposed to stay in our homes. And so I didn't know that others weren't supposed to serve the people. So that included Uber Eats and DoorDash and Instacart. And if I happened to be in a hotel or something like that, that also meant I couldn't go down to the cafeteria and get anything. I needed to get that before
Right.
I went to Sabbath, because that meant they were still serving me. And so I learned all of that here. I didn't know that. So I'm glad you stated that.
Yeah, you don't want people serving you. They can't even. And if you know me, if well, y'all don't know me, but my staff knows me. When I'm bougie, so when I go, I'm about service, right? So, but Sabbath, nah, we we rough it. We rough it out for 24 hours. I'm a savage rough one. No, stop. There's no service. So get what you need, get it in your space, prepare for it. You have the right to go down to the cafeteria, but no servicing. So if, for instance, I get what I need, my breakfasts and everything in advance of Shabbat, I'll take it up, reheat it if I have to in my microwave. Yes, you can use your microwave. Yes, you can use your refrigerator. Yes, you can crack an egg and you can make it on the, in the little, studio kitchen. Yeah, you can do that. Y'all know y'all can do that. You can make some protein. You can heat it up. Yeah, you can cook it. Yeah, you can get some chicken and some turkey, and you can get you some turkey bacon, sausage. You can whatever, and you can cook it. You can get you some grits. You can make you some porridge for those of you who are that well. You can do that. You can cook your meal. You can't sell it to your neighbor down the block. Talk about, okay, come on, I got too much left over. $5.99 platters. I got grits. I got okra. No, stop. Well, I just made it for the apostle. I made it for the bishop. I made it for no service. I'm gonna send it by Uber. No Uber. No Grubhub. No DoorDash. No, Daniel Hawkins, great point. No, you're not serving anybody. That's your family. Inside your home is you and your family. You're not serving anybody by cooking your meal. Your family, that's your family. You're not bringing in services that have to be paid for, and you're not producing services that you charge for, and you're not paying, and what have you. So if you have a live-in chef, all right, they need to prepare all that beforehand, because the chef don't even need to be working. You know what I mean? Do his thing. They're free, they give their space. But the family in general, prepare that stuff the day before, so y'all can just go in and heat it up. But if mom and dad, who are the owners of the house, you're coming in, you're cooking, and you cook that meal, you can do that. And the children. Matter of fact, it's designed for that. So you are together doing this. Good. Glad you got that, Danielle.
I need that. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. I am about to lose battery time on this particular MacBook Pro. And I didn't bring my other one down. Maybe I'll do that, or just get my charge and come back on. So maybe before Sabbath is over today, I'll come back on again, or maybe I'll just go on Clubhouse. If I do, just pay attention if you're on Clubhouse, and we'll go live that way if the time should permit. But right now, I know my battery is going to die on this unit, and so let me clear this up. So people say, well, you can be in a hotel and walk around the lobby and stuff. Yeah, you can. But what I do is I get a big enough space that I can walk in that area, in that space, because I like to walk and think. And there are certain facilities that I'll pick that have like cutaways, like this one, that I can go and typically be alone, You know, you always run the risk of a conference or whatever, but just because you're